Hey everyone, my name is RCJ officially, and this is Find a Book and Read. So before we continue on with the video, I do want to go ahead and invite those of you who are not yet subscribed to please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure that you hit the bell notification. Make sure you select all so that you get all the notifications about when I upload new videos here on this channel. Well, today I am going to be treating you guys to something that you may or may not have been asking for or even wanting. But I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's maybe about time to do the first one of these as well. And that is, of course, as the title of the video suggests, a bookshelf tour. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what this amazing bookshelf looks like. And this is a bookshelf that I've only started putting together since about 4 months ago. Back in September when I started this channel, I started to put together my first shelf, which was this one right here. And I only had, you can imagine, so many books. But since then, I've started collecting so many more books. I've started getting more into reading, and of course, the more that I get into reading, the more books that I find, the more authors that I hear about, and the more things I see on Bookstagram, on Book Twitter, you name it. I mean, even like on BookTube itself, there's so many great people that are sharing amazing content with regards to books and spreading so much awareness about so many different things with regards to just books in general. So it's really cool. I've enjoyed being a part of this community so far, and I hope that continues. And hopefully we have more things coming up on this channel here. But again, today I want to show you guys my bookshelf here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's start the tour. Alright, so the first set of books that we're going to be showing you all is this first shelf right here, which has Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I hope I said that right. Then we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, Havenfall, I don't remember the full name of the author, but there it is, by Miss Holland. I do remember that it is a female author. God, I hope I remember that correctly. Then we have Hidden Sea by Gregory Maguire, Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and Gods of Jade and Shadow, again by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So this shelf is kind of arranged in fantasy categories. So actually, I forgot to mention that at the beginning, this is all fantasy, and then I'll let you guys know when I switch genres. And next up we have Raybearer by Jordan E. Fueko. Then we've got The Ichabod by J.K. Rowling, The Last Magician by Miss Maxwell, and The Devil's Thief, again by Miss Maxwell. I don't remember her first name. Then we've got Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, again by Tomi Adeyemi. Then we've got Cursed by Frank Miller and Thomas Wheeler, and I believe that this book has been turned into a Netflix series, so I've not seen the series and I've also not read this book yet, but here it is on the shelf. Then I've got Crescent City or House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I never really know what the actual title of the book is. I want to say that it's actually House of Earth and Blood, but everybody, for the most part that I've seen kind of review this book, is also kind of confused as to what the actual title of the book is. But House of Earth and Blood, I'm almost like 90% sure that that's the actual title. And Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I do have to say that out of all the books on this shelf right here, the only ones that I've actually read are Hidden Sea, Mexican Gothic, Gods of Jade and Shadow, and Children of Blood and Bone. Other than that, everything else is a TBR, sometime, who knows when. Actually, I do want to say, kind of spoilers for an upcoming video, that I will be reading Children of Virtue and Vengeance soon in the month of February for sure, so I'll finally get to finish that. But then I'm super sad because I have no idea when the third book comes out. So it is a trilogy, and it also is actually going to be made into a movie that is going to be produced by, I believe, 20th Century, whatever the new name is for the acquisition of Disney with that company. But by extension, it's going to be a Disney movie. But yeah, super excited for whenever that comes out. All I do know is that it is in development, so that'll be cool. But yeah, I've got quite a bit of books to read from this particular shelf right here, but yeah, these are those books. All right, the next set of books, moving on to this next shelf next to it, is going to be continuation of fantasy books, and I don't believe that any of these books on this particular shelf are actually books that I've read just yet. But here we go from left to right. I've got Court of Thorn and Roses by RCJ Maas. Then I've got The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. And that's a book that I actually hope to read at some point in the next couple of months, because I got that one back in September and it sounds really interesting. It looks like it follows different characters and there's some kind of weird like entity going on about in the city, and I believe that this takes place in New York, so it's one of my favorite cities in the world actually, so we'll see what this book is all about, but I heard it's really good, and again, I hope to read it in the next couple of months. Next I've got Star Daughter, and I don't remember the full name of the author, but Miss Takrar, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. Then we've got Lore by Alex Bracken, and Incendiary by, I don't remember the full name, but Cordova. Then we've got Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chupeco. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Hopefully I got it right. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Then we've got Aragon, which I talked about in my last video actually, so hopefully we can get to that one this year as well. Chain of Gold, I picked it up, I read it at the Target when I picked it up, and it sounded really good, so I don't know very much about the author, Miss Claire, I have no idea, but I hear a lot of good reviews about her books, and in particular with this one, and I believe that the sequel to this book comes out either this month of February or the month of March, so we'll see when I can get to that one, but for sure I probably won't get to it in the next couple of months, and if I pick up the sequel it might not be until somewhere toward the end of the year, I think. Then we've got The Awakening by Nora Roberts, again a book I reviewed in my last video. Then Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James, a book that I can't now at this time remember what it is about, but at the time that I did pick it up, I know that it sounded really interesting, and the cover is a beautiful cover. If you guys ever get the chance to see this book, or if you want to take a look at it online and kind of check it out, it's a beautiful cover, and again, the story I know has got to be super interesting, otherwise I wouldn't have picked it up. Then I've got Spine of the Dragon by Kevin J. Anderson. Then I've got Night Circus, again, a book that I reviewed that was gifted to me, and The Starless Sea, both by Aaron Morgenstern, books that I hope to get to read in the next couple of months. So I'm excited for this bookshelf, this particular one, because there are a lot of really good reads, and I'm not sure yet when I'll get to these ones, but these are definitely books that I hope to read, at least the majority of these, in this year sometime. Cool, so moving on to the next and final top shelf that I have here in my library at home, we've got the final fantasy books, the final tall fantasy books. I call them tall. I don't really know what the appropriate wording is, but they are the taller books, and you'll see what I mean in a couple of shelves. But this is the last tall shelf of fantasy books, and on the left side, we'll start from left to right as we've been doing, we've got The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is a book series that was recommended to me. Again, I did talk about this in the last video, but I'm excited to read this one because I've heard a lot of really good things about this book series. It's a trilogy. The final book just came out in the last month of December, so hopefully I can get around to this one sometime in the first half of the year. Same thing with An Ember in the Ashes by Sabatair. This is a book series that has also concluded, and the final book also came out in the month of December, so we'll see when I get to that one as well. Again, a book that I hope to get to in the first half of the year, but if not, definitely sometime in the summer months. Then I finally got my hands on this book, The City of Brass. And The City of Brass is a book series by S.A. Chakraborty. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, her last name. But this is a book that follows a protagonist who is a thief. So somehow she comes upon this magical place, and I don't want to say much more on it, mainly because I can't remember exactly what the synopsis is on the flap of the book, but I do remember thinking whether or not I wanted to start the series or not. It always seemed very interesting to me, and I believe that the final book in this trilogy came out sometime in the summer of last year. So I remember seeing it. There was a lot of hype for it in the Barnes & Noble store that I usually shop at. And again, that was when I was barely starting to get into reading. So obviously, this being a kind of big book, I didn't want to get into it right away. But I finally was able to get my hands on a hardcover because I only kept on finding the paperback. And as you all know, I am not much of a paperback purchaser. I do love the hardcover, and I'm just happy that I have it in my bookshelf, and hopefully I can get to this sometime soon. I would really like to get to it sooner rather than later. And then we've got the Harry Potter series. I've got 2 copies of the first book because the book that you see with annotations right there in the front, that guy there, that book I got for a class that covered that book. We were supposed to write an essay on it and analyze an idea within this story, and that was very interesting to me. So I have a hard time annotating still, and I actually wrote in these books. So I didn't only just put flags in the book, I actually wrote, circled stuff in that book. So that's the reason why I have 2. If you give me a moment, I'm gonna actually move it so we can see the rest of the books. There we go. So there are the other Harry Potter books. I've got all 7 books. I actually didn't used to have this whole series in hardcover, but when I found that they were all at the Barnes & Noble, I took it upon myself to actually get the first 4. Those are the only ones that I had in paperback. I had the 5th, 6th, and 7th book in hardcover, and then the last book that you see on the far right, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, is the, I believe that it's the stage production book for the musical. So I haven't actually read that one, and I kind of talked to the book club that I'm a part of, and we kind of said that we're going to do a Harry Potter reread this year. We haven't started the reread yet, but whenever we get to it, hopefully at the end of it, I don't know if we're all going to read that Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, but I know that I will definitely do that. But a whole reread on that series is coming up for this year, and I'm super excited. I actually don't remember any of the details about the books. When I was rereading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, there were so many details that I didn't remember because I had so many of the movie ideas engraved, having watched the movies more than having read the books over and over. I forgot so many things, so revisiting this book series is going to be quite nostalgic, quite fun, and I can't wait to get to it. But this again is the last bookshelf that I have in the top half of this entire bookshelf tour. And again, these are the tall fantasy books, and on the next shelf that I'm about to show you, we're going to start with the science fiction section that I have. Alright, so this is the science fiction section of my bookshelf, my little library at home, and I can tell you right now that this is a section that I am super excited about, and I hope to build on this because it's small right now, and that kind of bums me out. But again, there's a lot that I want to build upon in this genre. I have read a couple of the books that are on this shelf right here, so let's go ahead and start from left to right as we've been doing. So on the far left we have To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, and he actually wrote the Aragon book that was a few shelves ago, and this is a sci-fi, his first adult sci-fi novel after having written Aragon and that series there. And so I haven't yet gotten around to reading this book yet, but I do hope to read it very soon as well. I don't want to say when because I don't want to disappoint myself and disappoint you guys with a potential read, but yes, sometime in the first half of the year would be ideal, but if not, then for sure sometime during the summer. Then we've got The Institute by Stephen King. Then we've got Dune by Frank Herbert. And this book I already know that I will be reading in the month of September because the movie releases, I saw, October 1st later this year in 2021. So for sure, I have to read that book and start it no later than September 1st so that I can get through it. This particular edition is a very beautiful edition of the book. And if you haven't seen it, then please stop by a local Barnes & Noble or check it out online and do yourself a favor. It'll look beautiful even if you don't read it, but I do plan on reading it. So yes, Dune. Then we've got The First Sister. The cover on that book also looked pretty cool. Actually, let me see if I can show you. I'm going to show you the Dune one as well. Give me a second. All right, so let me show you the Dune book here first. Look at that. Tell me that that's not a book you want to add to your library. It's beautiful. The inside, actually the sides, let me show you the sides. The pages have these really nice turquoise kind of blue. I'm pretty sure it's more turquoise than anything, or teal, but it's a stunning book. This particular edition. The inside is also really cool. And then the back flap is also artwork. I don't want to show you the whole thing so that you guys can go look for it and also fall in love with it, but this, do yourself a favor and pick it up. All right, here's The First Sister. The First Sister by Lyndon A. Lewis. I can't remember what the synopsis on this book is, but again, it is a book that interested me and it's here on my bookshelf, but the cover is what caught my eyes. All right, next we've got Hella by David Gerald. Then I've got Sky Hunter by Marie Lu. All right, Renegades. Let me talk about this one for just a bit. There's gonna be a full-on video coming up in the next couple of weeks that I'll talk about this book again, but this is one of the first books that got me into reading and into reading again, I should say. And Renegades was such a good book. It felt like a Marvel type book for me. It's about superheroes. I never heard of Marissa Mayer or any of these authors, to be honest, but back to Renegades. I enjoyed the book very much. I thought Marissa Mayer did a really great job. I have to get to this guy right here, Arch Enemies, and I actually plan on reading that book sometime in the next couple of weeks. So I can't wait to continue on with the series because I really enjoyed the first book, and this is it. There are 3 books in this trilogy. There's Renegades, Arch Enemies, and Supernova. And yeah, I'm excited to finish this trilogy and also bummed because it's done already. So I know that once I get to Supernova and I finish reading that last page, game over. All right, speaking of game over, we've got this amazing book on the Star Wars universe, maybe we could say, an expansion of it. This is Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule, and it's a book that just recently came out this month of January, and it takes us into the prequel movies, so everything that happened before the Phantom Menace movie. And I have no idea what this book is even at all going to be about, but I am excited. If you are a Star Wars fan like I am, then you definitely should pick this book up. And actually, let me show you the art cover for this one as well. Check that out. Just a beautiful cover. I can't wait to read this one. I am reading this one with some friends very soon, so in the next couple of weeks I'll be starting this book, so I'm excited for this one. All right, and last 2 books on this shelf are Ready Player One and Ready Player Two by Ernest Cline, and I am actually reading Ready Player One currently, so I should be done with that book in a few days, about 2-3 days or so, and a review should be coming up within the week or so because I don't want to wait like I waited so long to review Legendborn on here, so I can't wait to finish Ready Player One. So far, I am amazed with how different this book is compared to the movie, so yeah, it's still really, really good, and I can't wait to read Ready Player Two. I heard a lot of great things about this book so far. It was controversial. People didn't think that it needed to be written, but then they read it, and boy, were people's minds changed. So can't wait to finish that duology there. And that is it for this shelf. Let's go on to the next one. All right, this is a shelf that a lot of you are familiar with because it appears a lot in my videos, but I've changed it a little bit. And the only thing that is on this shelf is whatever book I want to highlight and feature. So far, I've had Legendborn on here for a few weeks because I really enjoyed that book and it was really great, and the cover is such a beautiful cover. How can I not display that? And then I've got some fairy lights to kind of add a little bit of light and not have so much darkness amidst that black shelf. And then right here, yes, right there, I've got the Caraval hardcover trilogy. Actually, I'm gonna mess that up if I do that. Oh well, too late. There we go, I messed that up. Oh well, here we go. Might as well just go ahead and do it. So they came in that nice little box, and then all three of that book trilogy are in there, but that's it. Super short, little small shelf. And of all the shelves here, I think this one will either be the most consistent or the most changing. All right, here we go. Last shelf on this second section, and that is going to be the literary fiction and historical fiction section. It's super small, the historical fiction section, which is just this area right here, and the rest of it, we'll go ahead and start from left to right, is literary fiction. So we've got In 5 Years by Rebecca Cyril. Hopefully I said that right. If not, I'm so sorry. Then I've got Redhead by the Side of the Road by Ann Tyler. Then we've got Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. Ask Again Yes by Mary Beth Keane. Dear Emmy Blue by Leah Lewis. All Adults Here by Emma Straub. Anxious People by Frederick Backman. That's a book that I actually saw a YouTuber, I can't remember now who it was, a booktuber, sorry, and she picked it up because she heard that it was really interesting, and it is a very interesting story. It's a story about a group of people who are held hostage by this robber. They each kind of have like some crazy flaws, like individual flaws, and so the robber kind of is like, oh my gosh, why did I pick this place to heist with these people? So it's a kind of a funny book, and I hear that there are some triggers though, so yeah, careful there, but check it out nonetheless. It sounds really good. Then I've got Deacon King Kong by James McBride. Next I've got A Star Is Born by Byron Lane. Every time I see that, I want to say A Star Is Born, but it's A Star Is Bored. And I believe that this is about a person who goes off and becomes the secretary for this like celebrity, and it's supposed to be a comedy book as well, so hopefully maybe that's like a March-April book to pick up. A Good Neighborhood by Therese Ann Fowler. Talked about that in my last video. Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Again, I don't know how to say her name. Okay, that is definitely 2 copies of Instant Karma. I guess I should just come out and say it. I had purchased the book, and then my Secret Santa from my book club got that book for me also. So now I have 2 copies of the book. Then we got The Music Shop by Rachel Joyce. This book I picked up because, being a musician, I wanted to pick up a book about music, but not necessarily like a artist. And when I found this one, I actually found this one by mistake on Amazon. I read the synopsis and I was like, hey, this actually sounds like a really good book. So it's about this shy record store owner, and this beautiful woman walks into his store and he doesn't know how to approach her, and that's basically where this book continues on, and I believe it takes place in the late 80s or early 90s. Yeah, sounded like a really interesting book. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, sorry, I don't know how to say the name, but this is a book that I guess is being made into a movie. I didn't know that, but I picked it up because a friend of mine on Instagram shared her review on it. She said she really enjoyed it, and she's been a reader far longer than I have. So I thought to pick it up on her having liked it. So I've yet to read it. Hopefully I pick it up soon. Then I've got The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. I don't know if I'm saying that right at all. and The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. Then I've got The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And last book on this shelf is American Dirt by Janine Cummins. And this is a book about an immigrant family that is traveling on the dangerous road from Mexico to the United States. So being the son of immigrants, it is a book that caught my attention. And I think I might read that one actually for like Hispanic Heritage Month later this year. But we'll see. Maybe I'll read it sooner. All right, here we go. This is the first section of the short books. So remember how earlier I was like the tall books and the short books? Well, these are the short books, and this is the science fiction part with some of the fantasy as well. So I'll let you know when the science fiction part ends and when the fantasy begins. So far left side, we've got Imposters by Scott Westerfeld, a book that I actually read with the book club that I never actually reviewed, but it was a really good book. It was a book about two twin sisters, one who was raised to be the face of the kingdom and the princess that everybody knew about, and another sister was, this is a really sad part, she was never seen by anyone other than her sister, her father, and the person that trained her to become an assassin. Something happens at the very beginning of the book. It's super, super fast how everything occurs, and nonetheless, still an amazing read. So if you ever get the chance to pick that book up, I highly recommend it. Next, we've got The Loop by Ben Oliver. I actually don't remember anything about what that book is about, but it looked cool. Then I've got Aurora Rising by Kaufman and Kristoff. Then I've got Cries from the Lost Island by Kathleen O'Neill Gear. Next, I've got The Silence by Don DeLillo, or DeLillo. I'm not sure how to say that last name. Next, we've got the what I'm calling Schusterman section. And the first book that I've got here is Dry. This book was written by two Schusterman. Also a book that is a little mixed reviewed because some people like it, some people didn't like it. I guess if you are a Neil Schusterman fan, then you'll enjoy it. But if not, it might be a little difficult. It's a dystopian book about a not too distant future where there is no longer a huge supply of water. And that actually kind of scares me because of how our current climate situation is. So to me, it sounds really interesting. So hopefully I'll pick this book up in the first half, if not during the summer. Then I've got the Arc of the Scythe trilogy. And here, I'll show you guys the books really quick. There we go. All right, so we've got the first book in the trilogy, Scythe, Thunderhead, which is the second book, and the final book that I believe came out in the summer last year, The Toll. I started reading Scythe as an audiobook earlier today. So far I really enjoy it. It's kinda creepy, but really, really good. Basically, killing is essential for this dystopian kind of book series. So people have, in this book series, surpassed death, and in order to control the population of the world, they've created this organization of scythes, and they literally select people to kill. So yeah, that's a crazy concept, and I, like I said, have enjoyed the book so far that I started. I have the physical copy, but I haven't yet started in physical copy, but I hope that as I progress in the audiobook, I might kind of switch back and forth between the audiobook and the physical book. But right now, the physical book is here in the bookshelf, and it's just a really nice box set as well, and I decided to showcase it. All right, and then I've got one last book in the sci-fi section of the small books here, and that is Patrick Ness's first book of the Chaos trilogy, The Knife of Never Letting Go. This is the book that is being turned into a movie, or rather is already been turned into a movie, but won't be releasing until October 1st of this year, and it will be starring Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley, and it's a book that I picked up before even knowing that it was going to be a book, or rather that it was going to be a movie with those actors. But I started the audiobook in November of last year, and I kind of thought that I would leave it alone for a little bit so that I could read it as the movie got closer, the release date for the movie. So got the first book, haven't read more of this book other than like the first chapter and a half. So I really don't know much about the book just yet. And I plan on picking up the other 2 books in this trilogy, but not until I've read this book. Okay, gonna go through this one really quickly, but we've got Nocturna by Miss Montaigne. Then we've got Fable by Adrian Young, Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Strickland, A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, Serpent and Dove, 2 books that I've seen many a times on BookTube, on Bookstagram, and on BookTwitter. And then Seasons of the Storm, a book that I picked up because I saw somebody wrote a review that if you enjoyed the movie Legend of the Guardians, which is a movie about Jack Frost and these other holiday characters, I'm gonna say, this is a book about 2 seasons, 2 members of the seasons. One season has to kill the other to continue the cycle. You can imagine what's gonna happen in this book. There is a guy from, I believe, the winter season, and then there's a female character from the spring season, or yeah, something like that. And of course, winter has to kill, or spring has to kill winter. So, love thing going on there. I meant to read this one back in the month of December, but December was just way too crazy. It was not at all a good book for reading, or rather not a good month for reading, I mean to say. And actually this month of January has not been very good either. Haven't gotten a lot of reading in so far, but I am trying to get through Ready Player One and Scythe, so at least there is progress. All right, so this shelf right here, I enjoy very much. There is a book right at the front, that one right there, that I just picked up one day ago, and that is Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. I didn't know anything about this author, but I saw this book actually 2 days ago at Barnes & Noble, and it looked like a beautiful cover, but I was like, do I need it? I don't know anything about this book. It's a middle grade book, and I was skeptical about it, so I didn't pick it up that day. Then, of course, on Instagram, I saw a Bookstagrammer review it, and they spoke very highly of it, and then I was like, oh, dang it, I'm gonna have to pick this book up. So I did, and I am happy that I did, because this cover, my goodness, let me just, again, showcase that a little better. Look at that beautiful cover. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. It reminds me of Legendborn, and I can't wait to read this book because it actually sounds pretty crazy. It's about a girl who goes to this magic school, but she's kind of teased, and then something happens. She's teased because something happened to her brother. Her brother's been missing for a long time, and people assume that her brother is dead, but she believes that he's alive. And of course, then crazy things start to happen, and that book just sounds really great. So yeah, it's part of my library now here at home. But I'm gonna move it out of the way for a bit so that I can show you guys the other books here on the shelf. All right, we've got from left to right, House of Dragons by Jessica Cluess, Shadow of Bone by Lee Bardugo. Then I've got Rebel Rose, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, Yes, No, Maybe So by Albert Hawley and Sade, so a partnered authored book. Then I've got More Than Just a Pretty Face by Said M. Masood, Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, Frankly in Love by David Yoon, Black Buck, a new book that just came out this month by Matteo Ascarapor. I'm so sorry. I know that I butchered that so bad, but that book actually sounds really good. I don't want to keep saying because this video is already long enough as it is, so check out the synopsis on your own, but I tell you that book is definitely a very good synopsis. So check it out, pick it up. Super Fake Love Song by David Yoon. Then I've got this stack of books right there, and I'm gonna go from bottom to top. So on the bottom, I've got I Killed Zoe Spanos by Kit Frick. Don't know when I'll get to that one. Burning, I don't know the author, and actually my friend Matt let me borrow that book. It's not my book, so hopefully I read it soon so I can return it. It Came from the Sky by Chelsea Sidoti. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This Is My America by Kim Johnson. Dear Martin and Dear Justice by Nick Stone. I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. And The Black Kids. Okay, but for real though, this has gone really long. I'm so sorry. I don't even know if library book tours, bookshelf tours are supposed to go this long. So I'm going to try my absolute best in editing to cut this, or to have cut this. All right, so we've got this little bookshelf section here belongs to my little brother. So we've got Melamander and Gargantus. It is by Thomas Taylor. My little brother says that those books are actually really, really good, and he's currently reading Gargantus now, so the second book in that series. Then he likes the Dogman book, so he's got Dogman and Dogman Brawl of the Wild. Then we've got Night Books, and I actually picked this book up for him. Night Books by J.A. White. Look at that cover. I picked it up because of the cover. It looks really beautiful. Next, we've got Wonder by R.J. Palacio, a beautiful movie. I haven't read this book, but my brother read it and he enjoyed both the movie and the book. Then we've got Confessions of a Dork Lord by Mike Johnston and Marta Atlas. A Pinch of Magic, also a beautiful cover on this book by Michelle Harrison. Bloom by Kenneth Opel. Then we've got this first book in a series of The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. Neither of us have read any of those books, I am sorry to say. And we've also not read any of the Percy Jackson books, so sorry to any of the Percy Jackson fans out there, or Rick Riordan fans, but we're gonna try with that one. A Wolf Called Wander, The Book Wanderers, Donnie's Inferno, The Isle of the Lost. Then we've got some Diary of a Wimpy Kid books right there. He's got The Third Wheel and The Ugly Truth. And then he's got the Awesome Friendly Kid, or Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid books. And then he's got The One and Only Ivan, and currently he's reading also The One and Only Bob, which is a sequel to The One and Only Ivan. And The One and Only Ivan is actually a movie out on Disney Plus. So if you saw the movie and haven't checked out the book, I do highly recommend that you pick up that book and check it out. Okay, I promise we're almost done. So this is a kind of half miscellaneous slash not so miscellaneous slash nonfiction books. So here we go. We've got a copy of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is actually an original book from like original publication, like way back when. So the only reason I took it out of the collection over there is because it's actually quite dirty, and I'm not even gonna show you guys how dirty it is on the pages, and I didn't want it to be a part of that, but I didn't want to get rid of it because again, it is an original published book. So yeah, I want to hold on to that. Then next to it right there, that is the special collector's edition that I found of Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. And then we've got another copy of The Alchemist, and that one I annotated and circled a few things, underlined a few things, and I flagged a couple of stuff, actually many stuff. Then we've got The Archer, again by Paulo Coelho. Then we've got Grendel by John Gardner, and actually that's a book that I kept all these years since I was in high school. It belonged to my high school's library, but I don't think that they miss it. So yeah, it's a library edition hardcover because I don't think that they make that book regular hardcover for consumers. Then we've got a book by Pope Francis called Let Us Dream. We've got Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. We've got Catcher in the Rye by G.D. Salinger, and A Burning by Megha Majumdar. I'm so sorry, I know I said that so totally bad, but I heard a lot of really good things about that book, and I hope to read that one actually sometime within this first half of the year, if not during the summer. Next, we've got Atomic Habits by James Clear. Next, we've got a memoir by Alicia Keys, More Myself, A Journey, I believe is the title of the book. Then we've got The Ride of a Lifetime by former CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Robert Iger. We've got Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. Next, I've got Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. Picked it up because I love the Hamilton musical, and this is the book that inspired Lin-Manuel Miranda to write the musical, so I want to know why he read this big book and thought, let me write a musical about this guy. Next, we've got Becoming by Michelle Obama, a personal all-time favorite book of mine. Barack Obama's A Promised Land, and these last two books actually belong to my brother-in-law. He let me borrow them. This is a book by Bernie Sanders called Our Revolution, A Future to Believe in, and then Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. Okay, this little bookshelf here has no books, but it has a little BB-8 figure that was gifted to me by a priest friend of mine, and I've got this little chest, this really cool little treasure chest that I picked up because I wanted to use for like props with my photography and stuff. And then there's this like really interesting clay jar and clay mug that my mother actually got, and she had it in an odd place, and I just kind of took it and thought it would look cool here to contrast the dark black bookshelves that I've got, and it does, and it looks really great here, I think, and so it's here on my bookshelves. All right, this last section here actually belongs to my little brother and my sister. So we've got Black Brother by Jewel Parker Rhodes, the first book of the series of unfortunate events, The Bad Beginning, The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, and I do intend to read this one later this year for Hispanic Heritage Month, so I'll be reading that one then. I actually never read it before, but I hear it's really good. The House with the Clock on Its Walls by John Bellers. Watch the Sky, The Train to Impossible Places, a book that actually I picked up from my brother because the cover looked really beautiful. Next, we've got a book that is nostalgic to me, and it is The Phantom Toll Booth. This book, my 6th grade teacher read to my 6th grade class, and I absolutely loved the way that she would read the books to us. There's another book that's not on this shelf at all. It's actually in another part that I can't access right now, but she was amazing, Miss Hastings. I will never forget her. She was amazing. And actually, she's the one that got me into the Harry Potter books. So thank you so much, Miss Hastings. I love you very much, and I miss you. Then we've got The Magic Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris, Where the Red Fern Grows, a beautiful book. It's a tearjerker for sure. I definitely cried when I read this all the many years ago that I read it. Next, we've got Echo Heart by Linda Durant, and then Miles Morales, Spider-Man. And this book actually belongs to me, but because this shelf is almost all paperbacks, I just put it in here. I hate that there is no hardcover to this, but it is what it is. I actually was gifted this book by a professor I had in college, and that was back when I hated reading or wasn't interested in reading, and so I have no idea what happened to it. I tried to find it, but I think I must have thrown it away. I know I feel guilty, but I don't have it, so I bought it again, and oh well, it's all good. But this time I do plan on reading it because I heard really great things about The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and then she also wrote a book called Circe that I also heard really great things about. So after reading The Song of Achilles, I'll go to that one, and then that'll be my Greek mythology fix. So yeah. Next, we've got The Girl Who Drank the Moon, Unhooked. I have no idea what that book is about. And then there are all of these books that belong to my sister that I have zero interest in personally. Before by Anna Todd, After Ever Happy, again by Anna Todd, and then After We Fell, again by Anna Todd. Then we've got Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. I have no idea what that book is about. Walking Disaster by Jamie McGuire. Toxic by Lydia Kang. Stay With Me by Milla Gray. Come Back to Be by Milla Gray. And then A Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul book. Alright, and I'm just gonna go down here and show you this last bookshelf because the other shelves I'll just kind of glance at. But I've got some Dungeons and Dragons books because I play Dungeons and Dragons with a group of friends. The Player's Handbook is that one right there. Then there's the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then Monster Manual. And then there's an Essentials kit that has a smaller adventure, and I plan to hopefully, once I learn how to be a dungeon master myself, play with my little brother and some of my cousins, so that'll be kind of cool. Then we've got some cool editions of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Robin Hood and His Merry Men, and Peter Pan that I picked up from Target. They were on a super amazing deal. They were 50% off after the holiday season, so a great deal. And then my little brother's Bible Stories book, and then a wireless speaker, and that's all I've got there. All right, so as I promised, I'm just gonna kind of glance over it like this, but there are 2 more shelves. That shelf has a case for the light that I use to light myself for my videos. Then there are some vinyl discs right there, some Spanish and then some English ones there. There's a box up there on top of the bag, the carry bag for the light, because it's for a small little monitor where I can see myself a little better than on the screen that comes with the camera I currently use. And there's a rag because I use that to dust off the bookshelf so that they look nice and clean and they don't get all dusty and gross. And then way over there is my little brother's section of school supplies, because COVID times means Zoom school, so he's got all his stuff right there. And that's it, finally. So that's it for this video, everyone. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. Select all so that you get all the notifications about when I upload new videos onto this channel. Hit the like button so that I know that you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this tour, if you enjoyed seeing some of these books. Which of these books do you like? Do you have any of these books? Do you recommend any new ones that I should add to my bookshelves? I want to know about it. And again, as always, it's great to start a conversation down in the comments. So until the next video, everyone, that's it for me. We'll see you next time. But in the meantime, find a book and read. Take care, everyone.